Hey guys, my name's Plev, and in this DCS MiG-21Bis tutorial, we're going to be covering the ASO-2 and SPS-141 countermeasure pods. Let's begin by equipping the ASO-2. It's the most basic countermeasure pod option the MiG-21 has to offer, and cannot be programmed and cannot jam. Utilizing the ground crew rearmament menu, ensure that your ASO-2 is installed on Station 6. If installed on Station 6, the ASO-2 countermeasure pod can be found on either side of the fuselage. Ensure that your JATO start system and JATO jettison system are active. You can find the dispense button for the ASO-2 countermeasure pods underneath this safety cover. Ensure that your drop countermeasures ASO and SPS-141 keybind is bound. With the button uncovered, either depress your keybind or manually click the dispense button as long as you want to dispense countermeasures. Besides the ASO-2, the aircraft can also carry the SPS-141 jamming and countermeasure pod. When the SPS is installed, a control panel will be installed above your ASP-17 gun sight along with it. To power on the system, and to initiate a 30-second warm-up, flip the power switch to on. Once warmed up, check that the ready light is illuminated. The SPS-141, when installed, hangs below Fuselage Station 3. With the transmit-receive switch placed in the passive position, or down, it will augment your RWR. Let's come back to the active position later. On the top right of the panel, we have our countermeasure and flare control switches. There's not much documentation on the auto mode, but theoretically it should automatically drop chaff and flares when targeted. However, I like to use the manual mode just because I'm sure it works. With the flare launch program switch set to the off position, no flares will be released. In the parallel position, flares will release in pairs. In the full position, flares will continue to release from alternating sides as long as the dispense button is held. With the flare launch program switch set to the off position, no flares will be released. In the parallel position, flares will release in pairs. In the full position, flares will continue to release from alternating sides as long as the dispense button is held. Your throttle countermeasure dispense button does not need to be uncovered. Instead, we will uncover and use the SPS-141 manual launch button. Both countermeasure buttons share a common keybind, and that is the drop countermeasures ASO and SPS-141 keybind. Unlike with the ASO-2, these two JATO switches do not need to be enabled for the SPS-141. Let's go ahead and test the system in parallel mode. Again, let's make sure that our dispense switch is uncovered. In parallel mode, pairs of flares will be dispensed as long as the button is held. Let's test the system in full mode. As long as your dispense button is held, a singular flare will be dispensed from alternating sides. Chaff will be dispensed in both modes. Every time dispensing occurs, the launch light on the top right should illuminate. With the dispenser mode set to auto, you will not be able to manually dispense countermeasures. Let's take a look at the electronic warfare capabilities of the SPS-141. First, ensure your SP-010 RWR is powered on. With your transmit-receive switch in the passive position, the SPS-141 will augment your SP-010 RWR. The program switch will change the behavior of the jammer depending on whether you're in continuous or impulse mode. Impulse mode is specifically effective against missile head homing systems, fighter aircraft fire control radars, ground fire control radars from SAM sites, and AAA sites, according to Chuck's guide. Impulse mode only seems to function properly in Program 1. When set to Program 2, it appears to go to a continuous-like mode. In continuous mode, Program 1 is used for individual aircraft to jam on their own, while Program 2 is meant to be used by groups of aircraft jamming together. Program 1 will attempt to send a false speed signal. Program 2, or the bottom option, will attempt to use false Doppler noise and blink noise to confuse enemy aircraft and is much more effective with 2 aircraft or more. This jammer is not very powerful and should not be expected to hold up against modern systems like the Patriot and the AIM-120. Coming back to Program 1, to begin broadcasting on continuous mode, we're going to flip the switch to the active position. You should notice the red signal light comes on, and this indicates that we are currently jamming. I've overlaid on your screen the perspective of an F-4E being jammed by a MiG-21. As you can tell, along the horizontal axis, it is easy to find a bearing towards the jamming emitter. However, the vertical axis is being completely filled and drowned out with noise. This will deny the enemy a ranging solution along that axis. And that will just about cover it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if I've helped you out. Plev, out.